Hello friends, I am Dr. Amarjeet Kaur. I am here with you to discuss a very important topic as a part of business communication. The topic is business report layout. So we have in the first half discussed about what is business report layout or outline, what is the importance of having a good outline, and what is the first part of the outline, which is prefatory part. So we have already discussed the prefatory part, and now in these next few minutes I am going to discuss about the next two parts, which is the body of the report and appendix of the report. So business report, we all understand what it is. So second part, body of the report or main part of the report. So main part of the report may have many sections, to be honest, but in most of the reports, majority of the reports, you will find that the report will have introductory section, method of the research, discussions which may include the limitation, result, finding, etc., and then surely the conclusion and recommendation part, right? So this is the main body of the report or main part of the report, the second part. So in the outline, when you have to decide, when you have to plan your report writing, you have to decide, shall I be talking about the methodology or not? How much time or the space the methodology part will get importance in the report? How much space or the importance you will like to give to the introductory part? So how much time, energy and the actual writing is going to go in the direction of discussion, results, findings? So this is why the outline is important. But nevertheless, these all sections are expected to be there in a structured report, a business report which is structured. Okay. So what do we have in the introductory section of the second part of the report outline? Introductory section may include the discussion or the purpose of the report, right? Why am I writing the report? Whom it should be important for, or who should be reading or referring to this report? What is the background of the problem? You know, if somebody is writing a report, there is a background. He or she has been given a direction. This is a practice of the business. There was a special occasion or special happening in the business that asking or demanding a report writing, or to familiarize the reader about the topic. So this introduction section generally tries to talk about the background. Not only that, is the background limited to the city or the company only? Limited to the city, limited to the industry, limited to the country, limited to the world, or a continent of the world, right? So we have to give reference or the background, and to what extent the background is going to be addressed. So this is going to be there in the introduction section. The most important part of introduction section is the statement of the problem, of the issue addressed. That why have we written this report? Because there was some problem which we want to address through this report. This issue could be of generic in nature, it could be a special one, it may pertain to production, purchase, operation, process, HR, marketing, any function of the business, right? But a report has been written because there was a problem. So, and we are trying to help decision makers, the stakeholders, help decide basis on the outcomes we are sharing in this report. So the problem statement is very, very important, and it goes in the introduction section. So just to summarize, this introduction section will have the overview of the situation. Report is been written because there was some situation, there was some background, there was some context. So that context is been overviewed, is been summarized in this section, which is known as introduction section of the main body. This is the first part of the main body. Then that who all stakeholders are the key ones, are the important one, even that part is mentioned in the introduction, that these people were facing, this department was facing, this team of a department was facing problem, these customers were facing problem, they have the query, the management has a query, management has a plan to expand, management has a plan to merge, etc., etc. So this report is been written for these people. So those people are the stakeholders. And what were the key issues? So overview, that is the background, the context, the all interested people, that stakeholders, and key issues. Now, important thing is that we must remember that in this introductory part, you may decide to put up the conclusion first, and thereafter gradually you may talk about the methodology and the stakeholders, or a discussion. Or most of the reports you may just start with the introduction part, which means the key issue, the background, etc., and thereafter gradually you move to the methodology part, discussion part, limitation, conclusion, recommendation, etc. It's up to you. This is a new trend we are seeing in the business world, that people will simply talk about the findings first, and thereafter the background will follow. It may sound little weird or little unconventional, but this is happening, especially when the report is very lengthy, especially when the report is been written by a group of analysts, people who have a great claim or credentials, and they know they are submitting it to somebody who doesn't have time to read the full report, even to the background, because the readers are aware of the background more than the people who wrote the report. Especially the consulting companies, when they are preparing the report basis on the problem shared by the company, and they are writing for the company. Imagine, because the problem was given to them by the client, right? So there's no fun spending so much time initially introducing the background and the problem or the key issue, the stakeholders. Come on, the readers already know. In fact, they are the people who have shared who are the stakeholders, what is the problem, what are the key areas, right? So I hope I'm making some sense to you. So what will happen in such report? The report will have, of course, the main body after the prefatory part, but in the main body we are starting upside down. We are starting with conclusion and the recommendation, followed by the methodology, that this is how, basis on this methodology, these findings were sought out, and we recommended that, right? So this was all about the introductory section of the main body. Coming to the method of research, what does that comprise of? The method of research comprises of many things. It talks about the information source, the data source, the data type, information type, right? What all data are included, data sets are included in the main body and are included in the appendix. That is also mentioned in this part, in the methodology part. How the data has been analyzed, how the data has been presented. Are you using graphs, charts, you are using some flow, some equation? How are you going to present the data, right? So the tool, it could be statistical tool, it could be mathematical tool, it could be some psychological test, etc., etc., depending on what has been done. So the methodology talks about all these things. Okay, the third part of the main body, the second part of the report, basically the body, generally the third section will be discussion. The layout of these sections which I am discussing can be different, as I just discussed a minute ago, but we will have discussion part which will comprise both findings as well as the limitations. Okay, so what will have the discussion in the discussion part? Discussion part will say that see, these findings are popping up, are emerging basis on the tools used and the data set used. Right. So the finding could be that this product line is very beneficial in XYC city, but very loss making in another city simply because of these reasons, which could be social setups, which could be religious setups, anything prevailing in that particular area, or the problem with the distributors even. Right, whatever it may be. So discussions are, we are talking about the findings supported by some data set, and we are discussing the limitations along with the findings. So discussion is certainly going to be sequential logical flow. So a logical flow of the discussion on various aspects of the issue resolved or issue discussed is carried over in this part of the body. Now, the last part of the body of the report is conclusion part, recommendation part. Conclusive statement is being made here in this part that it is recommended. Let's say any of the this four big companies, big four, which we call as. So earlier there were five of them. So big fives were there, now big fours are there after certain certain fraudulent practice by one of them. So that big four may say that we conclude this problem in this way, or we propose two solutions to the problem. Conclusion has one angle, one perspective, this is the solution. Another perspective, if you go by, so plan A, plan B can be there in the part of, as a part of the conclusion, or it simply can have only one recommendation, right? So conclusion that this problem does exist, this does exist because of these reasons, and hereby we propose 1, 2, 3, 4, any number of plans of action, that is the recommendation, right? So conclusion is a conclusive statement accepting, denying, or neutral stand against or about the issue, right? And then recommendation. So these are the parts of the main body. So introductory, method of research, discussion, and conclusion. Okay. So now we will come to the second, after this discussion on the second part, we will come to the third part, appended part of the report. So what does appended part contain? So this appended part contains many sections, and of course this is not necessary that all the reports will have all the sections I am going to discuss. Certainly not. It all depends the size of the report. No, in the last section we have discussed that certain reports are semi-formal, certain are formal, certain are informal, certain are short and formal, certain are short and informal. We can have long and informal, long and formal. So there could be many combinations of reports. Okay. So appended part of the report has certain appendixes, certain attachments, as we have the attachment in a mail, right? Like that. But doesn't mean that all the reports will have all the parts. Since we are discussing this topic in length, I will be talking about all the possible appendix of the appended part of the report. So data collection form, which may be known as questionnaire as well. So how the data has been collected. So that questionnaire, that form is been discussed here in the appended part. So appended part has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's an outline which tells in the beginning itself. In the prefatory part we have a section in the outline that the appended part has these appendixes. Okay. So data collection form, that how the data has been collected. Generally the questionnaire, if the questionnaire has been used, it is there. If the interview technique has been used, the interview technique, the format is there. So we write in this appendix the format design of data collection. Then the journal tables detail calculation. In your main body, the conclusions are based on the findings, on the calculations. If it is a financial report, we have calculation part which goes in the calculation, and if the calculations are very lengthy, we may not show the step by step calculation in the main body. That can go. So this is what we call as detailed calculation. This can go in the appendix. Okay. So detailed calculation may go there. Journal tables which were generic in nature, the conclusive tables could be the part of main body, right? In the conclusion, in the discussion, in the finding. But the journal tables from, the primary data, the where we have a major chunk of data sets or complete set data set is there in the appendix, and the selected part may go in the main body. Bibliography, or people may use references, though there's a difference between the two. Bibliography means everything either used in the main text of the report or not, but referred once or read once is bibliography, and references are the only those documents, articles, papers, newspapers, sites, etc., which are part of the content of the body of the report, which are the part of the text of the report. So that is references. So a report may have references, a report may have bibliography as appended, and generally most of the reports which are structured, formal, they will have this part for sure as an appendix. Other appendices could be there in the appended part. This could be the financial reports, profit and loss account, balance sheet. It could be the case studies, it could be pictures, screenshots, data sets. So appendices are also there in the appended part. Glossary or list of abbreviation. So as I said earlier, that list of abbreviation may not be there in the beginning, in the prefatory part. It could be used, it could be displayed at the end of, that is the appended part as well. This is the call of the writer, or maybe the practice. Some companies may have the practice to write the glossary or the abbreviation in the beginning, and so is true for the academic reports, mind you, be it thesis of a PhD or thesis of a MPhil or simply an MBA project. So we see the list of abbreviation in the beginning or at the end. Both kind of practices are there. I am not condemning one over the other. And then we have graphs as well. We have graphs, which were there in the graphs were there in the main body. Those important findings, they were included in the main body and they are part of the main body. But other than that, the graphical presentation could be there for many more aspects due to the paucity or the paucity of readers. Considering that fact, or considering that people would be able to skim well, we may include more graphs which could be relevant to a very limited people. Of course, they are included in the appended. Okay, so that is another part of the report. Then we have charts. Charts are also there in the findings, in the discussion even for some time, but not necessarily that all the charts have been included in the main body. So certain parts may go in the appendix part as well. Then we have surveys. Surveys like the detail of a market survey in case the report was written to decide or help company decide to launch a product or not, to withdraw a product or not. So there are certainly going to be customer survey or survey of prospective customers, either way. But the surveys also become part of the report and they go in the third section of the report outline, which is appendix or appended part of the report. So surveys are there. Other than that, there could be any document. Any document means any document. It could be simply the letter received from the department directing the writer to write a report. It could be simply some previous year's report and its finding. It could be simply a process which is there on the website of a company. There could be any damn document which was relevant for the discussion you carried earlier can become part of the report, right? So this is the third part of the report. Now I would like to talk about, to conclude the topic, I would like to put up everything together. That in conclusion, I would say we have title page as a necessary, in any report which we discussed. It can have very different set of information from company to company, from department to department within the same company, right? So it all depends upon the practice. We have table of content, which was the part of prefatory report, and again the size of the table of content will vary. The format of the table of content may vary. People have only the section name or the chapter name in the table of content, and there are reports which has sub numbering. So section 1, 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3 and so on. Or it may have subsection with numerics, with alpha letters as well. It all depends. So table of content, the size and the length and the coverage will depend upon the practice, the guideline you received, or basis on the purpose you are writing for, because your purpose is that people should be able to navigate the report well, or the complexity of the issue. If the issue is very complex, you may like to divide the report into many subsections. Executive summary, as we discussed, is a brief idea about every part of the report, from introduction to key issue to methodology to conclusion to finding. And then introduction is about the key issues addressed, the statement of problem. Discussion is about the background. It could be, the background may go to the introduction. Then discussion could be the findings. What did you found while you were researching, or you were reviewing, or you were meeting up or questioning the respondents, or you were yourself preparing the report. And then you can conclude that this is the final conclusion. This has to be there. These few things have to be there, either under heads, without heads, subheads. Recommendations are essential, of course, in a business situation. Mind you, you are preparing a report and you are drafting an outline to recommend something, some solution. And finally, references and bibliography is there, right? So to conclude, in summary, I would say these all are the parts of report outline, report outlay, report design. So with this, I would like to wind up, hoping that you all could understand the topic very well. I appreciate your presence with me. Thank you, friends.